Thank you. We're early. Good afternoon. It's 4:29 p.m., 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. We'll call the City Council meeting of the City of New Ulm to order. At this time, first item of business is the consent agenda. Councilors, what are your wishes?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. Item 2.1 is an annual on-sale and off-sale intoxicating liquor license and Sunday license.
I'll offer a motion to approve the issuance of the annual on-sale intoxicating liquor license, off-sale intoxicating liquor license, and Sunday license for Salon Milan Incorporated, DBA The Franklin, 126 North Franklin Street, Suite 100 and Suite 200, including patio for the period beginning May 1, 2025, ending June 30th, 2025, subject to compliance with all city and state requirements.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. Item 3.1, summary of business conducted during board and commission meetings.
I get to start again.
You get to start.
All right, Park and Rec meeting was held last night. Park Director gave the updates on the spring and summer activities. We also read through the busy March report. We held the state Bantam tournament, which was a big draw to New Ulm. We did accept donations. Those will be on the next council meeting. One big item, the park did announce that April 15th, the consultant will be here for the comprehensive plan. Plans on 2 days in New Ulm, meeting with staff, working on that. Also attended the EDA meeting. I'll defer that to the council president. She was also in attendance, not doubling up what she talks about. And the last item, I did attend the Youth Network New Ulm at the Country Club last week. Always enjoyable to meet and greet and hear what juniors and seniors in high school have to say about perspective of New Ulm and what their goals are, what they'd like to see, their wish list. That's it.
I have nothing new to report commission-wise, but I too attended the Network New Ulm Youth Program, and like Dave said, that was a little bit entertaining, and I actually learned something from those kids, so I'm glad to be a part of that.
Larry, Councilor Mack.
We had the Sister Cities meeting last week Monday, and we had a reception for an award for the Sister Cities program for the Keith Roloff in honor of him serving on the commission. And was nicely attended by his family and guests at the Kickle Clubs, and something we look forward to every year, try to recognize someone for their volunteers' service in the community.
You, Councilor Schmitz.
Yes, Heritage Preservation continues to plan for hosting the state convention in September, and Cable Communications did not meet.
Mayor.
It was a busy week. First of all, I attended my first University of Minnesota Extension Service meeting. At that meeting, the Farm Family of the Year was selected and will be recognized at the Brown County Fair. On behalf of the chamber, there was a ribbon cutting for bricks and minifigs, and that is an exciting concept having to do with Legos. The business is in Mankato, but they are part of the New Ulm Chamber family, and they buy, sell, and trade Legos. Sister City Commission, Councilor Mack already covered that. We had the swearing in of 2 new police officers last Monday morning and welcomed them to the law enforcement team. EDA, you're going to report on that? No, I'll pass on that one.
Okay.
Network New Ulm, it was fun sitting in again with those juniors and seniors from the high schools to do the visioning with them. We also had New Ulm Partnership, update from New Brick on the possibility of doing some small houses, like tiny homes in New Ulm, so more on that to follow. And then I attended the school board meeting. New Brick was on the agenda to discuss the CTE Center and how they might help with that project. So that concludes my report.
Well, very good. Lots of updates, Mayor. I'll touch on the EDA. The big news is that the sale of Garden Terrace, that is moving forward. And so some different things are being explored into possibly another building on that property. And then I also attended the Network New Ulm Youth event. It was nice to see everyone there and to hear from the students. Very surprised how much they are into pickleball. So if you're a pickleball person, look out, because but again, just kind of seeing how things change and what their visions, what they're envisioning. And again, like many of the juniors and seniors that we've had years and years going in this Network New Ulm Youth Group, a lot of them have plans to kind of leave New Ulm when they graduate and never come back. But I know that we'll be seeing a lot of them back in the community as well. So another fun event there. Thank you. Any additional updates from anyone else? Thank you. We'll move on to old business. Item 4.1 is a purchase agreement between Landhaven Development LLC.
Madam President, members of the City Council, the City Council conducted a public hearing on the sale of this property to Landhaven Development LLC at your March 4th, 2025 meeting. The sale terms for this transaction required the city to comply with the provisions of the Minnesota Business Subsidy Act, and a public hearing was a requirement of the provisions of that act. I might note that there was no public comment at that meeting. Landhaven has considered other locations within the city for this project and has determined that this location best fits the size and scope of their project. Tony Golden serves as the president of Landhaven. The subject property is located directly north of Walmart and west of Jacob Street. Street address of the property is 2211 Jacob Street. The property has been farmed in the past. The city purchased this property in 2017 and shortly thereafter platted the property into 4 lots with 2 streets. And the plat name was the Airport Industrial Park 3rd Edition. At a work session held on June 20th, 2023, the City Council discussed appropriate sale prices and assessment terms for these lots. It was generally agreed that a sale price of $1 for each lot and a 50% assessment payment would be appropriate, and so that was originally assigned to Lot 2, Block 2. The assessment term was 10 years and the interest rate was 4.25%. The staff utilized this same formula then in determining the proposed sale price for Lot 1, Block 1, and that is the property that is being proposed for sale. This resulted in a sale price, again, of $1 for the lot and a 50% assessment for Lot 1 of $115,000. The total value of the financial assistance or business subsidy would be $217,000. The amount of the business subsidy does require an agreement. This requirement is satisfied by the provisions in Section 11 of the purchase agreement. The total size of Lot 1 is 6.85 acres. Landhaven intends to subdivide the property into smaller lots to allow the construction of storage facilities with the option of having enclosed dwelling units within those storage facilities. Attached to the agreement is a site plan, that's Exhibit B, showing the location of the 29 lots on the property. Each lot would accommodate 1 storage building. Due to the type of project, the creation and retention of jobs is not a goal of this project. There would, however, be 2 goals for the project. The first would be a minimum expenditure of $345,000 for roadway and utility improvements. The second would be the approval of the plat with 29 lots. In addition, the owner will need to secure a planned unit development land use designation for the project. And this is necessitated by the zoning requirements that we have in place for the I-1 zoning district. Then secondly, there also need to be a project development agreement. So the conditions that have been identified that need to take place prior to the closing on the property would include Landhaven entering into a purchase agreement with the city for the property, approval of the project development agreement, and then lastly, that Landhaven will secure a PUD zoning designation for the project and property. That would conclude the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Schnobrick.
I guess my only question with this is, being this is zoned as I-1, what kind of, what are we going to do about blight if this is a developed area that people are living and working in, and it's 29 sheds in a 7-acre area? In an industrial park area, would that allow people to have vehicles galore and things stacked on the sides? And
Well, the land use designation that we're going to use is a planned unit development, and there's an associated development agreement. And so within the development agreement, we would address those kind of situations there.
thank you.
My question and comment is in regards to the storage facility construction with optional enclosed dwelling units. We keep tying back to that again, and I really want some more clarity on that. Dwelling unit, like, if it's an I-1 zone, is it zoned for dwelling units, and what does that mean?
Okay. In the I-1 zoning district, dwelling units are not a permitted use. And so that is why we're using the planned unit development zoning designation, which allows for an expansion of the activities that take place on the property. And so that use would be allowed through that planned unit development designation. As far as the particulars of it, again, the development agreement and the planned unit development application process would have to spell those types of things out. So we're kind of halfway through the process. We still have a ways to go yet with the approval of the other documents.
President and councilors, I may have a question also. Mr. Schnobrick, we talk about $345,000 in roadway and utility improvements that the new owner would incur. Does that include the $115,000 in assessment reduction for utilities?
No, this includes money that will be spent on site to improve the property in order for the project to take place.
Okay, so that does not include the $115,000.
No, that's a separate matter, and so
Okay.
he will be assigned the responsibility to make that payment over a 10-year time period at interest rate of 4.25%.
Yes, for the utility assessment. Okay, thank you. And then I remember Mr. Golden mentioning at a previous meeting that these facilities are going to all be similar in architectural style and color. And is he going to be building them all, or are the individual lot owners going to be building their own sheds?
Mr. Golden is here, and I maybe will let him answer that question.
And I guess it doesn't matter who's actually doing the building, as long as, what I remember Mr. Golden saying is that there's going to be a design, and all the buildings will match the design.
Councilman Sorb, long-term plan, once we get through the plan unit development, is that it will be an association. The buildings will all be the same color, and they will all look the same. The difference being is going to be 3 different sizes, potentially. Are we going to build them all? I don't know. Are we going to allow people to build them to our specifications? Of course. But I will tell you that all the buildings, this isn't going to be a non-professional looking facility, is the best way I can say it. It's going to be a professional looking development. Our whole goal is to have all the units same color. The only variation we'll probably allow, and I'm not going to, don't hold me to this, would be a different colored door maybe, so they can distinguish their unit. But in other words, and if you can, I don't have an example to show you within New Ulm, I guess, but let's just pick a color and they're going to be brown, they're going to be black. Let's pick a color, but all the buildings are going to be the same color. It's going to be professionally landscaped. It's going to look like a development that should be there. We're not going to have, our associations is not going to allow the items, unlicensed vehicles, trash, boat, none of that stuff. The association that we draw up will have very defined lines of what they can and can't do. And the response I got from a lot of people that have been talking to me is they love the idea for the simple fact of you don't have to deal with a neighbor maybe having 4 unlicensed cars, whatever the scenario may be. But I think that'll be defined a lot more when we get to the plan unit development that we have to do for our next step.
Thank you, Mr. Golden. I thought that's what I recall you mentioning at a previous meeting here in this room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, I've got a couple questions here. So a question would be then, say there's an electrician or a plumber that is a one-man shop or two-man shop, or they might be would that be something that they would be able to use in your development?
Sure, as long as they
Agree to your
agree to our-
covenants?
agree to our association, what we have defined in there. I mean, they don't park their vehicle in at night. I mean, if, we got to use a little common sense, there may be a vehicle outside, but there's not going to be turning into a,
But so a small business could be operating out of
Sure.
X, Y, and Z is what you're envisioning and
Sure.
stuff like that.
sure.
Okay. And then I got a question maybe for Dave. We're kind of leaning, and I'm just going to ask the question because we're in I-2 and we're looking at adding some residential. Has city staff had any conversation how we're going to handle utilities versus, is this going to be like residential utilities or commercial utilities? I'm just asking the question.
Madam President, City Councilors, Mr. Golden does have an engineering firm, planning out the utilities for his subdivision. Utilities to serve the site would be able to, support any type of business that may want to go in there, or light industrial, depending on the stipulations that are within the association documents and things of that nature of what's going to be allowed in there. But utilities should be adequately sized to handle pretty much anything that someone could think of for the subdivision.
Well, that kind of answers my question. The other part of it, maybe twofold, is that, right now you have residential utilities at a certain rate, and then you have commercial utilities at a certain rate. Are they all just going to be like commercial, or?
That's going to be a question for the public
Yeah,
utilities.
that's why I'm just, asking, this might come up, about.
I've got one other question, Dave. All right, I-1, right? We're going to have this development agreement in the association. Will the I-1 zoning regulations still apply?
The
The window,
planned unit development zoning regulations will apply.
that'll
So
supersede it.
anything that was in the planned unit development application that is approved by the city council would apply, and anything that is in the development agreement will apply. So the I-1 zoning, in essence, kind of disappears.
That's
And just for a little bit of context down the road, right now up at the state capitol, they are looking at doing this particular thing by right at the state level, mandating that we as a city would upzone our industrial and commercial areas to allow residential.
Kind of knew it was
But we
coming.
are trying to, I know there's a lot of rural communities in very strong opposition of that, because again, it essentially strips every local authority of their ability to make their own zoning and development decisions. There's a lot of opposition to the bill as it is.
What I like about this project is when I heard Mr. Golden share with us that it would be an association, and having lived in an association situation, those guidelines are seriously taken by those who either rent, lease, or own within that association. So that was very good news.
I appreciate that clarity as well.
Yep. Well, I like the idea. It's, I think, a good use of 7 acres of land, and don't want to stand in the way of this, so I'll offer a resolution to authorize the city manager and finance director to sign a commercial property purchase agreement with Land Haven Development, LLC, for the property legally described as Lot 1, Block 1, Airport Industrial Park, 3rd Edition.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion does carry. Item 4.2 today is a MnDOT IIJA discretionary match grant agreement number 1058265.
Right, Madam
Mr.
President,
Stadtman.
City Councilors, this is the last grant agreement for, to fully fund the development of the citywide comprehensive safety action plan. As you may recall, the city has received $200,000 in federal grant funds for this $250,000 project, and this grant would fund the local match, which is $50,000. So we applied for, the state of Minnesota had this technical assistance grant through IIJ funds. So it's just a great opportunity to fully fund this project, without having the funds come out of the city budget. So.
President and councilors, I'll offer the resolution approving MnDOT agreement number 1058265 and authorize the city manager and finance director to execute the grant agreement and any grant amendments on behalf of the city.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Item 4.3 is airport consultant selection. Once again, Mr. Stadheim.
Madam President, City Councilors, so as previously authorized, staff solicited and received statements of qualifications from consulting firms interested in providing on-call engineering services at the New Ulm Airport for the next 5 years. Per FAA guidance and circulars, this is a process the city has to go through on a 5-year basis for its consultant selection process, and that advisory circular is 114E, and there's a whole section on guidance on how we proceed with this process. So city staff and the selection committee consisting of myself, Assistant City Engineer Winchell, Planner Nisley, and City Manager Dalton reviewed the proposals and ultimately are recommending the city move forward and enter into negotiations with Mead and Hunt to provide these services for the next 5 years. And Mead and Hunt's been our airport consultant probably for over 20 years.
Thank you, Mr. Stadheim.
I'll authorize city staff to initiate discussion with Mead and Hunt Incorporated to fully define the scope of the work and airport consult professional services to be provided.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. Item 4.4 is amendment number 1 to task order 2020-03 for airport engineering services.
Madam President, City Councilors, this amendment to Task Order 2020-03 is for the next steps with the development of plans and specifications for the AWAS, the Automated Weather Observation System, site work at the airport. MnDOT owns and maintains the system, so this would be reimbursable by a 100% state-funded grant. This next step is, like I was alluding to, would be to deliver the site work to make the site ready for MnDOT to come in and install the new weather equipment. So included with this project would be turf access road, minor grading, and then installation of the electrical service to the site.
I'm going to offer a motion to approve the amendment number 1, task order 2020-03 for airport engineering services to Mead and Hunt Incorporated professional service contract in the amount of $51,811 and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement amendment contingent on the city receiving the MnDOT Office of Aeronautics grant for engineering services.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. On to new business. Item 5.1 is Task Order 2020-08 for Airport Engineering Services.
Right. Madam President, City Councilors, this is the first of 3 task orders that are coming before you today, and they all relate to bids that were open previously with the pending contract approvals for the fuel system and apron expansion project at the airport, along with some airfield pavement maintenance. The first one here is for the airfield pavement maintenance project. Again, we opened bids for that project, so the next step is this new task order to provide engineering services for the construction observation and contract management for the delivery of the airfield pavement project. As you can see within the agenda item, the tasks associated with that are the administration and also project closeout once we get to that point. So in this project involves crack fill, repair of the primary runway pavement along with the pavement on the parallel taxiway.
I'll make a motion to approve task order number 2020-08 for airport engineering services, adding the task to Mead and Hunt Incorporated professional services contract in the amount of $55,203, contingent on the city receiving the federal grant for the engineering services.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 5.2 is Task Order Number 2020-09 for Airport Engineering Services.
Thank you, Madam President, City Councilors. This one is for the apron expansion project. Again, same means and methods, but we have to track each of these separately to make our entitlement and AIP funding work. So this is really to deliver the construction portion of this apron expansion project.
President and councilors, I'd like to make a motion to approve task order number 2020-09 for airport engineering services, adding the task to the Mead and Hunt Incorporated professional services contract in the amount of $94,794, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement contingent on the city receiving the federal grant for the engineering services.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. 5.3 is Task Order Number 2020-10 for Airport Engineering Services.
Right, and finally, Madam President, City Councilors, this is for the fuel system civil site work for the new fuel system at the airport. As you may recall, we had to split this project into 2 separate schedules due to the bid prices. So this would be just the site work only, the access road, and then prepping the site for the new fuel system, which will be bid at a later date. While the other previous task orders that you approved were 95% funded by the federal government, this one is funded 70% by the state of Minnesota.
Thank you, Mr. Studden.
I'll offer a motion to approve task order number 2020-10 for airport engineering services, adding the task to Mead and Hunt Incorporated for professional service contract in the amount of $68,590, contingent on the city receiving the MnDOT Office of Aeronautics grant for the engineering services.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. Item 5.4, 2026 budget calendar and requests for funds application.
President and councilors, before you is the proposed schedule for the 2026 budget process and the applications for the nonprofits that request funds from the budget each year. After approval of this schedule, letters and applications would be sent to the people who have been or have applied in the past for these funds. It will also be available on the website for anybody else who would be interested. And then just to point out a couple of other things, those applications will be due on June 27th. There is a work session with council to review those applications on July 15th. And then you'll approve the budget requests at the August 5th meeting. And there's one more work session in there scheduled right now on August 19th for that last look at the budget before we approve the preliminary in September.
Wow, and it's only April? Motion to approve the 2026 budget calendar and application for funding requests and set the dates for public or budget work sessions on July 15th, 2025 and August 19th, 2025, following the regular city council meeting in the City Hall Council Chambers.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Item 5.5, reassessment of unpaid Lakeside Village 2025 special assessments.
Madam President, City Councilors, this is my last item today, I promise. A couple items to note here before I start. I do have a couple typos in here, so it should be the reassessment of the 2005 special assessments, not 25. And then there has been some partial payments made on these assessment amounts, so the actual amounts, should you choose to make a motion to set this public hearing, I'll just read into the record, is $2,917.88 per parcel that we will be discussing. So these are the final lots within Lakeside Village Edition that have the pending assessments that need to be recertified. So after these assessments are potentially recertified, that would clear the books on that 2005 project that went into forfeiture. So as we have in the past, this is just at the sale of a property, is just recertifying those assessments to the new owners so they can start making payments on those. Those assessments were finalized back in 2005, and they're payable over a 10-year repayment schedule at 5.5% simple interest. So this first step is just setting the date of the public hearing, and we will get the notices mailed out, and then we'll have the public hearing on May 20th, should you choose to move forward with the reassessment.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the reassessment of the following unpaid special assessments. Lakeside Village Edition, in the amount of $4,168.40 on each lots 2 through 10. Block 6, Lakeside Village Edition, Phase 1, and set the public hearing for Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at 4:30 p.m.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Discussion, do we have a different
Yep.
number? I think
the
Councilor
4,000, it's
Warmka
the-
said 4,000. It's
2009-17-88.
Yep.
9/17/88.
Second.
Yes.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. That motion does carry. Item 5.6 is a one-year license and service for a Mavic drone. Chief?
Madam President, councilors, in front of you, there's a request of us purchasing a license for $2,800 for our drone. Program's been pretty successful. This is basically a renewal because the original one was part of our original purchase, kind of built into the price. And part of it, I think, is a little bit of a marketing thing on behalf of the company, but we've been very pleased with it, and we'd like to continue. I'm in front of the council because the request is that we would use our public safety aid, which is part of the 290 fund, and I would need council approval to use that. I have verified with our finance director, and there's ample funds to cover this purchase.
Thank you, Chief.
President and councilors, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the New Ulm Police Department to purchase a one-year license and service subscription with Vertex Unmanned Solutions in the amount of $2,800, which provides drone sense support for the Mavic drones using the Public Safety Aid 290 Fund Financial Reserve account.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. 5.7 is the retiring K-9 Dino from the New Ulm Police Department. Chief.
Madam President, councilors, in front of you is a resolution requesting permission to retire K-9 Dino and transferring ownership to the handler, which is Eric Byro. Essentially, Officer Byro accepted a position with the sheriff's office as a deputy sheriff. We've, with that, he's assigned this dog. We've done some research, or I did some research, checked with, what options are available to us. Considering the dog's age, dog has approximately 18 months to 2 years as far as their working career in front of the dog. Talking with some consultants and the original person that we purchased the dog from, who would be a subject matter expert, McDonough. We don't have many options with it because transferring the handling responsibilities at this point isn't very realistic. And so there's really no options. In the past, we've always, when we've retired the dog, transferred ownership to the handler, and that's the request that I have.
Are we planning to replace Dino?
At some point, we are. Right now, I wouldn't have the staff to do it. It's a huge commitment. I have 2 people right now that are on the field training officer process, which is 12 to 16 weeks of a commitment. And again, I have 2 of them on there. So I really don't have the ability to free up anybody at this point. And this wasn't expected by me that he was going to be going on to the sheriff's office. So I haven't budgeted for the dog either. But at some point, we would like to replace the position.
So we have 2 squads, correct, that are fully equipped for
We
dog?
do. And regarding the squad car, I had mentioned that in here just briefly. What I plan on doing is using that as a spare squad car. So at some point, I've budgeted for basically 3 squads this coming year. I'll only be going with 2. And I'll be talking with the city manager about that and the finance director, but I would be using this as a spare squad car to replace, called Squad 5, which is one of our Fords. And then it would also be a backup for Officer Kister, who is our other K-9 handler. If there's something that would happen with his squad car, we would have another K-9 squad that's ready to fill in.
President, councilors, and chief, I have a quick question about K-9 Hank. How many years do we have left of normal service, would you estimate, with K-9 Hank?
I would estimate somewhere between 5 to 6 years.
Thank you.
Every dog is a little bit different. Basically you'll get somewhere between 6 to 8 years. 8 years is on the very high end as far as the working career. That the dog still hopefully likely would enjoy some life after that. But the K-9, as far as a police K-9, it's hard on their joints. And they have to stay very fit to be able to do something like that. And just with an aging body, there's just some point where the dog can't do it anymore. Dino is a very good dog, but a little heavier. So, the likelihood for that dog, the estimates, again, we'll run them as long as we ethically can in most cases. But Hank is just a little leaner dog.
and likely would probably get like another year, 18 months out of it above what Dino's working career would be, if that answers the
Yeah,
question.
thank you, Chief. President and Councilors, I'd like to offer the resolution authorizing the retirement of K-9 Dino from the New Ulm Police Department and transferring ownership of K-9 Dino to Eric Byro.
Second.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Director Jorgensen, please call the roll.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
Counselor Warmka?
Yes.
Counselor Schmitz?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. With no additional business, today's meeting is adjourned.